Hello, AFI Movie Club. I'm Caleb Deschanel, cinematographer on the Black Stallion. We're going to talk about a scene from the Black Stallion. And I was actually at the AFI in the first year that it opened. So anyway, here we are. The film was shot in Toronto and in Sardinia. We actually shot in Toronto first, and then we moved to Italy, which is the part of the movie where the boy is on the island with the horse. One of the aspects of this movie that was really incredible to me was the fact that we could film with a really small crew. I basically had a key grip and two other grips. I had a loader and a first assistant, and that was my entire crew. The crew training the horses was actually much bigger than my crew. There were like 4 or 5 wranglers, and then the head trainer of the horse was a guy named Corky Randall, and his father, Glenn Randall Sr., had actually trained all the horses on Ben-Hur. I'd worked with Carol Ballard on a lot of short films, semi-documentary and educational films and that sort of thing. And it was both of our first films. I mean, it's my first film and Carol's first feature film. When we were shooting in Toronto, we had a really big crew because we were shooting in locations and we were using lights. And Carol really did not like working with a big crew. And he used to always talk about there being this big army. We definitely had to sort of really adjust our filming style so that we could do it as a feature film. But when we were in Sardinia, this whole part of the movie, the first 40 minutes of the movie, was basically filmed the same way we did all these educational films. And I'm fascinated going back and looking at it and realizing what you can do with almost nobody on the crew. I mean, today we get used to looking at credits that are like hundreds and hundreds of people with visual effects and all sorts of things. But everything we shot is exactly the way it was. I mean, there's no visual effects, there's no, enhancing of anything, no CGI, no nothing. And you can just take a camera and go anywhere in the world and you can make a movie. And that's one of the things that was really great about it. Some of my crew had worked with Fellini and some of the other Italian directors, and they were actually very used to the kind of director that Carol was, and that he was someone who was a director who would find things and discover things along the way while he was on the set. And it's important that you find the film as you are working on it. If you're just following, your storyboards or following a list of shots or something, you're not really reacting to the reality that you're seeing on the set. And that was the most important thing about the Black Stallion, was reacting to everything that was going on and discovering things along the way. I mean, all the things of the boy finding things to eat and using the seaweed to feed the horse, and all those things were things that came up from the situation that we were in Sardinia. So, it was real handmade movie making, which, you don't see much of anymore. Now, this shot, which is, the key to the whole movie, is where the boy finally convinces the horse to come close. And what you don't see is that just out of frame, to the right side of this frame, is Corky Randall, who is signaling the horse to come forward and go back and to, come close. And I'm sitting there on the camera hoping that I'm not going to get too wide and see him, because I'm only seeing what I see through the camera. And I've got the zoom on and I'm adjusting the size depending upon what's going on with the horse and the boy. It's like showing a magic trick. If you do it all in one shot, then you really understand that bond. And I think it was really critical. I mean, to me, it's kind of a linchpin in the movie to have that scene done that way. And there was no way of enhancing it. There was no way of altering it. When the boy finally feeds the horse, it was a real relief. And it was actually, I think, the first time we shot it. I don't think we really did this more than once. And then we went in close for these shots where he is feeding the horse in a closer shot. in those days, what you shot is what you got up on the screen in the end. And, you know, you had 3 printer lights and, you know, the correct exposure and, you know, everything in focus. And that's movie making.